In this video, I'm going to cover how to use the Charles Schwab API. I'm going to go over making your own app, authenticating with the API, and making several API calls. The first thing that you're going to want to do is make an account at the developer portal for a Schwab. And then once you have your account, you can go into the API products. We're going to be using the Trader API individual, and you're going to want to request access. I'm already signed into my account, and I've also already been approved. So the button is right up here. And then once you have access to this, we're going to create an app. This is in the dashboard, and then the green button to create an app. For the products, we're going to select all of the ones that we want access to. This just controls like the sub API calls that you can make. So if you want market data, then you want to add that. I'm just going to add all of them because I'm probably going to use all of these. For accounts and trading, that's to place orders, and for market data, that's to get market data. So you're kind of going to need both of these if you actually want to make something like a bot. The order limit can be 0, or it can have up to 120 requests. And these are just order related, so I think it applies a little bit differently when it comes to other calls. For the app name, I'm just going to name mine demo, but you can use whatever you want. And then description, that's really for when you go to authenticate your account with the app. You don't really need it. And then the callback URL is going to be https ://127.0.0.1. This is also the localhost callback URL, so you could also type in localhost here, but it's the same thing. So I like to just use this since it's not a mnemonic. And then we're going to do create. Oh, well, I already have access to the API, and I'm only allowed to have one app, so I can't create another one, but when you create it, you will see it over here in the your dashboard. And then under status, it may say approved-pending. You're going to have to wait for that process to complete. The people at Schwab just have to give you approval. That'll usually take like a day or two. They've been pretty good about it recently, but they did just launch it, so it might be sort of slow. The next thing that you're going to want to do is go into the details here. Now that you're in the details, you can grab the app key and the secret down here. You can change the visibility and then copy it, and then we'll need these two keys, the app key and the secret. We'll need those for the Python program. Okay, so now I'm in my IDE. I'm using PyCharm, but you can use whatever you like VS Code. I'm using Python 3.11. You're going to also need to install the requests module because we're going to need that for GET requests and POST requests. And let's just create a new file. So I'm going to name it main. I'm going to have a second portion of this video that shows you how to use the GitHub version that I've provided. This will just be a short overview on how you can authenticate with the API if you want to do it yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make two variables for our app key. And then we also have an app secret. And we're going to put those down here. We also need to import requests. And we're going to use those later. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to want to do is make the authentication URL. This is what's going to connect your app to a Schwab account. Now I'm just going to paste this from the GitHub that I provided and change it for here since it's easier than typing it all out. So it's this link. We use our app key to tell it what app we want to link, and then we also have to add in our callback URL. Now in the event, I imagine mostly everybody watching this video is going to be using localhost, but you may need to URL encode these. Of course, if you're using localhost, it doesn't matter, but if you're using URL encode, or a URL with some characters that you'll need to encode, then you'll need to do this a bit differently. So ours is just going to be localhost. So we can change this here to, and then this is what we're going to use. So again, we're going to use this, we're going to click this link once we create it, and then we can use that to add our app to the our account. Next, we're going to print this out. So I'm just going to say click to authenticate, and then that link. Then the user is going to sign into their Schwab account. Once they're signed in, it's going to redirect them to another link. You do have to go through a couple other windows first to fully authenticate it. But once you go through that, it'll redirect you to a 404, and then you can take the link at the search bar or address bar and then paste it back in, and we're going to have to use that link and parse it to get some keys out of it. So next we can do input, and then so we'll do an input, and then we're going to store this in return link. Okay, so once we get the input from the returned link, we're going to need to parse it. And again, this is just from the GitHub link that I have. We're going to go up to the point where we find that there's the code that starts. We have to add this for the offset, so we don't include code equals in it. And then we get the index of %40, which is the encode of the @ sign. But we also need to add the @ sign back in to it. And then from there, we can get our code, which we will then use in a post request to get the actual refresh and access token. Okay, so the next part is we want to build the variables for the post request. And first we're going to have the headers. Now these I'm just going to grab from the GitHub because I don't want to have to retype these. It's pretty long. Oh, we're also going to have to import base64. Forgot about that one. Base64. And this will allow us to encode because we use both the app key and the app secret, and then we encode that in base64. And we also have to send in the content type for this post request. So these are the headers, and then we'll use the code in the data part. So next we have data. The grant type is going to be the authorization code. The code is going to be the code, and then the redirect URL or URI is the local host with HTTPS. You cannot use normal HTTP. Next, we're going to get the response from the request. So this is a post request, and then we're going to send it in with the headers and the data. The response now will include the refresh token and the access token. So we can just do this. We can do the response.json. The response.json is the JSON file format of the response, and that includes the refresh and the access tokens. So I'll just call this I'm going to call it T dictionary, or how about just TD? TD will be our token dictionary. And then when we want to use our access tokens, we can just, well, let's make some new variables for them. Yeah. So access token, we can access it from the token dictionary. It's access _ token, all lowercases, and then we can also get our refresh. Now the refresh token is used to refresh the access token. The access token is valid for 30 minutes or 1,800 seconds. That's also in the response. And the refresh token is valid for 7 days. This does currently mean that you are going to need to re-authenticate your program or your app every 7 days. They might change it, and I'm really hoping they do later because 7 days is going to be a bit annoying. But in the future, I might also build something into the GitHub repo that allows you to automatically do that and have it continually refresh so you don't have to worry about it every 7 days. Now that we have these tokens, we can use these for a GET request. So I'm going to get an example of one GET request that we can make. Okay, so for this demo, I'm going to show getting the account numbers. Yes, I am going to have to blur this, just the response part, not doing all this. The base URL is right here. So let's make a variable called base URL. And that's going to be right there. So now that we have the base URL, we can use the extension here along with that base URL to form the GET request. So our response is going to be request.get the base URL with the extension /accounts /account numbers. And then our header is just going to have to be the authorization, which is the string right here. That's going to be bearer, and then you have the access token. And the access token, right, remember we got that from the token dictionary. So now the response is going to be, you can call like response.ok, and that'll tell you if it's okay or not. It's just a true-false value. And if it's true, then that means that it's the code that it returned is 200. So that would mean that we can call response.json on it. That's if you just want to add in some protection. You know, if you form a request wrong, you're going to get an error like 500 or 400 in those ranges, and then response.ok will be false. So you can use that so you don't like break your program. So this is going to be a response, so I'm just going to print this out, and I'm definitely going to have to blur that. So we should be able to run now, and I might not have to do any debugging. Let's hope. So here's our link, and it looks like we do need to fix this. Well, I need to add in my app key here. So let me go do that, and then I will be back. Okay, I've now added in my app key, so I'm going to run this. And this is my app key, so hopefully I blurred this. And then I can click on this. It's going to open a window right here, and then we can log in here with your account. I'm going to do this not on screen. We log in, and then it will redirect us, so let me do that here. Okay, so now you're going to be faced with an agreement. You have to check that you agree with it. You'll continue, accept. I will select my Schwab account that I want to link to the app, and then done. And it will redirect me up here, so we're going to take this link and we're going to paste it in. Okay, so we've pasted it in, and then right here we have our response with our account number and the hash value of our account. This is all going to be blurred for you, but it did work correctly. And that's basically how you use the API. With more complex bots, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want the refresh token to automatically refresh the access token every half hour. I normally do it in 29 or 28 minutes just to be safe. And then you can also make a bunch of other API requests here. So these are all the requests that you can make. This is just in account access and user preferences. You can do orders here. You can get all your transactions, the history there, preferences. And then you can also, the other API products are the market data. And you can get all the different types of market data. You can't stream yet. I have found some hints that they will eventually allow streaming with WebSockets. So don't use these to get continuous data. It's just not good practice to continually make GET requests. to get the latest quote of a stock. I would just wait till they get WebSockets. Okay, for this next part, I'm going to show how you can use the GitHub repo with the Schwab API. This is my personal repo, and I publish a public version of the code that you can use. It makes it easier for you so you don't have to do all the coding. Eventually, it's going to have automatic access token refresh. I just have to add something in. I'm almost done with that. And then also I'm going to do possibly automatic refresh token updates. That would mean that it would automatically authenticate your account and connect it to the app when it needs to. So I'm going to download the zip of this and I'll show you how to set it up. So we're going to extract the zip, and then I'm going to open this folder in my IDE. Okay, I now have the folder open, and setting this up is much easier because all you have to do is go into the universe.py file, and you're going to add in the app key and the app secret, and then we can immediately run from the main. I've added in my app key. I'm not going to show that file anymore, but I will explain what it does. The universe.py file contains variables, a couple functions, and well, other variables such as the access key and refresh token, as well as some dates to know what, so it can know when it needs to update them. That file is accessed across many different modules, like the API module. Eventually there will be a streaming module, possibly a databasing module. So when you want to get like the access token, then you would call universe.tokens.accessTokens. Actually, and I have that right here. So that's how you get the access token. Then you can also get the refresh token there too. The API file stores commands and functions that allow you to initialize it. So the only ones that you're going to be calling in here are initialize, and then you can call all of the APIs down here. Not all of these are done yet, but you can see right here. So you'd call, like, if you wanted to get the account numbers, right, you'd call this function, and then that would get you the account numbers. It does that all automatically, so all you have to do is call this function. And the idea with this is it's going to be sorted the same way or in the same order as the documentation is on Schwab's website. All these other functions up here are just for reading to a token file. The token file will store your refresh token and the access token so that when you start up the program again, you don't have to keep on re-authenticating. Sort of works as a memory, like the token manager that will work with the file and the variables inside of Universe. And then I also have a couple functions for the refresh token update and the access token update, but all you need to worry about is initialize, and then update tokens will eventually be called automatically with a thread. So this will be run automatically in the background, and it will look when the access token is expired, it'll update that automatically. However, when the refresh token has expired, you will need to have some user input on it. So let's run main.py. We can see right here it will call api.initialize, and then we will call the main function right here. So I'm going to run this. It's going to tell me down here that I need to authorize my program with it, so I'm going to need to sign into the Schwab API, or the Schwab login right here. And then this is the same process as before. We just have to agree, add our account, confirm that we want to add our account. We'll get the URL right here, we'll copy this, and then we can paste it in here, and it will automatically fill in or will parse the data, and then now we have a tokens file right here, and this stores the times that they've been refreshed, so we will know when to update them if we ever start the program. It also stores the refresh and the access tokens. And then in main we called api.accounts.accountNumbers and api.accounts.accounts, and those are printed out right here because I'm just printing them here. The idea is here inside of main you can code whatever you want inside here and then access the functions in the API file, and then you can use those to make your decisions inside of main. Okay, I hope this video was helpful in figuring out the Schwab API. Thanks for watching.